So that kind of leads into another thing that I wanted to ask you about, which is enabling technologies. Like clearly you've been talking about some of the technologies that have enabled what's now the state of the art today in terms of brain training and so on. And I'm wondering if there are technologies on the horizon that you see or are hoping for that might move the ball even further.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the big thing that has potentiated a lot of what's really advancing things, at least in terms of the research side, is open science and open source software. So that's really blown the doors open on what people can do, the kind of software tools they can access. A lot of things are free now that used to be very costly. Electroencephalography has come down in price from, it would have cost you $50,000 or $100,000 to get any system 20 years ago, to where now you can get a Muse for $200, $249, something like that, depending on where you are and what model you get. And that is due in part to the proliferation of the supercomputers we carry around in our pockets that we call smartphones. For two principal reasons.
More powerful computers than they had when they sent people to the moon.
That's right, and that's
mind-blowing.
It is amazing. When you think about what we use these things for and how powerful the computers are, it sometimes seems a bit ridiculous. But the two big things that were potentiated by the arrival of the smartphone were that it enabled the remote and portable processing of very complex data sets, like electroencephalography, in real time to a degree as well, so that you could create experiences on that basis that would be portable biofeedback and neurofeedback. And not just that, but you could use the way that we have designed games and interactions on smartphones to really improve the experience in such a way that it's compelling and easy to use for anyone. And the other is that just the proliferation of smartphone technology has created these enormous supply chains of very low-cost electronic components, which is one of the reasons why we were able to build Muse in volume for hundreds of dollars instead of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's remarkable that as I can remember that biofeedback devices, because I was interested in biofeedback as well, in the early days of biofeedback, and it would cost a lot of money, thousands of dollars to get any kind of a biofeedback device. And now under $200.
That's right, and that'll keep dropping. I think it'll steadily decrease in price as the technology becomes cheaper and better. So in 10 years we might see an EEG system for tens of dollars. I think that's an entirely conceivable, like a good EEG system that might cost you $50 or less.
Now,
so that.
Going back to enabling technologies, what about virtual reality, augmented reality? Do you see that as being?
Yeah, and you would know probably better than I do about the applications, the wide range of applications for virtual and augmented reality in therapy, in psychotherapy.
I don't think I.
There's I think we're still in the early days. But there's now a dedicated field of medicine and of mental health that's looking very hard at what we can use virtual reality for effectively in improving patients' quality of life, whether they're in hospital in the ICU or something like that, or in long-term care, or remote administration of exposure therapy in virtual reality. One of the things that's neat about these systems is that they're still pretty bulky. Hopefully they'll get smaller in the future, but they're still pretty bulky right now, and that means that there's a lot of stuff going on around the head. You have to wrap this thing on, and that means that you have all of these contact points on the head where you can put biosensors like EEG or functional near-infrared spectroscopy or galvanic skin response or any number of things, and incorporating real-time biosignals into virtual reality for neuroadaptive interfaces Interfaces that you can imagine, for example, would dial up or down the intensity of an experience or the attentional load experienced by a user on the basis of what they were able to attend to and what the evoked responses in these biosignals showed us about what they were attending to and what they were experiencing. So I think there's real potential here for some very compelling experiences in virtual and augmented reality that are driven by real-time, what they call neuroadaptive interfaces. So rather than a direct, you're trying to control an object by thinking, this is something that sits in the background and just adapts the interface and adapts the software or the game or the experience or whatever it is to keep it at a level that is engaging but not overwhelming.